Hello again, everybody. We are back. It's episode number 8 of the Fantasy Cast. I am your co-host, Lachlan McTagg. Joined alongside me, as always, is my other co-host, Ty White. And we have a special guest on yet again. We are welcoming back Mr. Christian Haggith to the podcast. Christian, welcome.
Pleasure to be back, boys. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So I think we kind of adopted a little bit of a rule with Christian that he couldn't make his next appearance until he got his first victory in fantasy football. So Christian is here solely to talk about that. So that should be a lot of fun. But first off, Ty, all good on your end, man? What's up with you?
All good. As usual, it wasn't like the fast-paced week of football that we thought it was. Obviously, the Bills and the Chargers weren't playing. But that being said, with like 4 or 5 of my starters out, I put up 143 against one of the best players in our league, which is you, Lachlan, this year with your record. So I gotta pay a little bit of respect to you, but I did take the dub, so I'm happy about that. How are you?
I mean, I would have been better if I won this week against you, because I won't even lie, I was a little too confident. Going into this week that I thought I might pull out an easy dub and then come on here and brag about how I'm really good at fantasy football, but that's not the case. But anywho, the Falcons pulled out a nice victory on Sunday. I always love to see that. Braves are in the World Series. And another one of my teams that I like, the Buffalo Sabres are doing well right now, which is always nice.
They're rolling.
Yeah, but we don't talk about hockey here. So yeah, I mean, would have been better with a fantasy dub, but not complaining.
Absolutely.
I think all 3 of those teams that Lachlan just named there might be like saying they're all winning and doing well might be some of the most surprising stuff you've heard. Welcome to 2021.
I know.
The Buffalo Sabres are winning.
3 seemingly miserable franchises over the history of their tenures, and it's looking up right now. I mean, the Falcons still kind of have a crappy record, but they're improving. They're improving is what's important, right?
Yeah,
Definitely not as miserable as Lachlan's fantasy team, the Loch Army. He's over the 3 years he's had some pretty successful runs.
Yeah. No chip though. So
yeah, we're hunting for that this year.
Got to put a ring on it.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's enough. That's enough Buffalo Sabres talk for this episode. Let's hop into it. So first, Ty, we are going to revisit our starts and sits, and we'll tell you right now what our record is.
Oh, do we have to?
We were really hyping ourselves up, man. And
there's some hot takes in there.
Yeah. And we went 5 for 10.
We actually did better the week before, because we had about like a 630, 640 guessing average, which was pretty good. But I seriously believe that we're going to improve. I said that last week, and I was talking on my rear end clearly, but
I mean, we said we were going 10 for 10 last week.
Oh God, don't bring that up.
Hey.
So we got some. So to start off with the things that we got right. For starts, we told you to start Damian Harris. Oh my God, were we right about that? We had 25 points against the Jets, which was nice. So one that was a bit complicated is Miles Sanders, because he did get injured. We mentioned in the previous episode that if there is an injury, we don't take that into account necessarily. However, we were talking about the Eagles' running game in general, and Kenneth Gainwell got 12 points by himself. Miles Sanders, by the time he got injured, had 6 attempts for 30 yards and a reception. So he was also on pace to do what we said that he was going to do. So we're going to count that as a mini win, although it wasn't the exact right player. I mean, we're just trying to throw ourselves a friggin' bone here, so bear with us.
Yeah.
Devontae Booker versus Carolina had 14. Solid start. Told you to it. And then 2 sits that we got right. Lachlan, this one was actually you. Congratulations. Robbie Anderson versus the Giants had about 4 points. Sit his bum down. Joe Mixon versus Baltimore had 11, which isn't terrible, but it was not really good enough to start. We told you to sit him. Do you want to go over to what we got wrong?
Yes, we got a couple things wrong on the start list. Jacoby Meyers, told you to start him versus the Jets.
Ew.
And I mean, he almost had double digits, but I mean, that New England running game was buzzing all day.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tough for some of those receivers to get going when they had so much success on the ground. Daryl Mooney versus Tampa Bay.
Whoops.
Yikes. Yeah.
That was the biggest.
Our
miss
bad.
of the
Yeah.
day.
We'll take the heat on that one, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sits. We told you to sit T Higgins versus Baltimore, and he put up 13. If you sat him,
We were
and
close to getting that right. We
It's
were close to
debatable.
getting that right.
if you had T Higgins on your bench, you're not like throwing your TV out the window. You're just kind of like semi upset, I'd say. This one hurts though. Khalil Herbert.
Whoops.
Yeah, sorry guys. He put up 18 and a half. Are bad. And we told you to sit Daniel Jones as well versus the Panthers. I mean, who saw that Giants offense coming against a very respectable Carolina defense? I know I sure didn't, but
The
Not so
biggest
respectable anymore.
biggest receiving threat in the league now too. Daniel
Oh
Jones.
yeah.
Looking
Daniel
like
Beckham
2014
Jr.
OBJ.
Yeah, dude, that was an insane catch. I like that they're changing things up. I like, the Lions, like, we're 0-6. Screw it. We're gonna go for a fake punt pass like on Madden. Then we're gonna do like an onside kick, and they got both of them. So I mean, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
like
I mean,
to commend the humility on you guys for sharing all the wrongs here. I don't know any other podcasters that take the hit like that. You guys are-
We're honest. We try to be
Honestly.
honest.
hey, take a
Because-
hit to make a play, man. Take a hit to make a play.
for
you know?
sure.
Exactly. But hopefully we can build on that momentum. We're going to go into our starts and such for the upcoming week as well. But as usual, we're going to go over some big weeks now the players had. It was kind of a crappy, kind of cruddy, like not really, kind of a rainy week at QB. The highest quarterback, believe it or not, was Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah. Welcome
versus
back to
you
man.
Falcons, Loch. What's that
Yeah.
defense doing over there?
I mean, hey, I'll continue to say this, that it's a very suspect secondary over in Atlanta. I'm not scared to admit that.
Yeah, but he had 28. Joe Burrow 27, Stafford 27, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady with 24 apiece. So not a huge week for quarterbacks by any means, but we have some big wide receivers. Lachlan, who are they?
Yeah, the wideouts starting off with Cooper Kupp putting up a nice 37 spot. How are you? Another great week with Matthew Stafford. Their chemistry just continues to build week after week. Looking really, really nice down in LA.
For sure.
Jamar Chase. What a day for Jamar Chase. 34 points. How many targets did he finish with, by the way? Like, how many times did Joe Burrow actually target him? Because it was quite a large number, I think, right?
I'll
He's
get the
over
exact
200 yards
statistics on
receiving
that.
for
He
sure.
did
Yeah.
have 200 yards. Yeah, that's correct.
It was shades of his LSU days in 2019. It was quite nice to see, actually, the Burrow Chase connection reuniting.
So
For sure.
he had 10 targets with 8 receptions, which is, I
Yeah.
mean, that's really good. And anyone who said that they should have drafted Penei Sewell, myself included, was wrong. They're actually, like, until Burrow gets hurt, which hopefully, knock on wood, that he won't get hurt. But I mean, Jamar Chase is the offensive rookie of the year with, I gotta say, Rashawn Slater's at number 2. I mean, just slot him in there from the Chargers. Asking to take on Myles Garrett one-on-one. Like, are you kidding me right now? And he didn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, but Jamar Chase
okay.
has been so impressive.
We just
I
got to
think I was
mention the Chargers are on a bye week and Ty is still talking about them. So
Oh, gotta throw him in here somehow. I mean, that was the way.
I think I was
Right.
guilty as well, Ty, of jumping on the Jamar Chase's overrated train, especially
Yeah.
seeing him go as high as he did in fantasy drafts. I thought there's no way this guy's going to do, put up all those numbers in Cincinnati. But I've definitely been proven wrong, and that's probably why I'm 1-6 right now.
At least you're honest. At least you're
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
rounding
hide
out the
from it.
wide receiver list, we got Mike Evans put up 31. Great day for him. AJ Brown 27 and Terry McLaurin with 25 to round out the top wide receivers from this past week.
Yeah, some good week 5 receivers, running backs as well. Not any like typically ginormous performances. Like Kamara had 33. DeAndre Swift, who actually helped me defeat you in fantasy this week, he had 28. Damian Harris 25. Dearness Johnson. Oh wow, that was nice.
Man.
And who told you to pick him up? Who told you to pick him up? We told you to pick him up.
Yeah, we did.
And we're proud of that because he had 24. And Brandon Bolden, excuse me, he had 19 so 2 England running backs scoring in the double digits. So they wiped the floor with the Jets. Those poor
Yeah, he was taking some touchdowns from Damian Harris there, who I had in the lineup. Wasn't liking that. They had 4 rushing touchdowns. I believe that's correct. And Harris had 2 of them. And then late in that fourth quarter, they were just punching some more in. Just it didn't matter who they handing it off to at that point. Could have been Ty White himself.
I could have gotten there for a couple reps. I mean, that would be pretty fun. I'm sure I could do something against that Jets defense. But yeah, those are the running backs. Loch, I know you want to talk about one particular player on the tight end side here.
Yeah. I think you guys know what's coming here, but he didn't have the biggest week at tight end. It was actually CJ Uzuma. He had 24 points. How are you? From the waiver wire to fantasy football hero overnight. The next name, Kyle Pitts. What a day. He did everything but score a touchdown, literally.
Yeah. He had 160 receiving yards.
And I mean, the Falcons were on bye 2 weeks ago now after the London game, and Pitts had a big game in London. And then he followed it up with another performance coming out the bye week. And did you see that one-hand catch?
Oh my gosh.
Was sick.
It was music to my ears. The fantasy managers too, who are patient like myself, are starting to see maybe they didn't have the greatest first 4 weeks, but now we're starting to get a little bit better because we took that investment with Kyle Pitts. I know I drafted him in probably the 5th, 6th round, and it's starting to pay off because the Falcons, and they're showing the world how special he is. He's getting the targets now. He's inevitably going to get the red zone targets as well. So he's a beast out there. He's probably the most skilled player at the position actually in the league, just from a pure talent standpoint and what he could do in the actual league. I would say it's higher than Kelsey and Waller at this point.
Yeah, definitely agree with you, Ty. And talk about an investment. I think coming into the draft and why they drafted him so high as well in the actual NFL draft. In terms of a fantasy standpoint, it wasn't so much about touchdowns. Like we didn't know about his touchdown upside, but it was just about like how much of a chunk he was going to get of that Falcons offense, and it was expected to be high. And now over the past couple of weeks, we've kind of been proven right on that. So it's nice to see your team benefit there.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Yeah, we'll go on here. After Pitts, it was Mike Gesicki putting up 21, Robert Tonyan putting up 16. Those round out the list of the top tight ends this week.
Decent week for tight ends.
Yeah. Shout out also Foster Moreau with 18 in place of Darren Waller. That's pretty good. Hey, probably never going to get that again.
It was National Tight Ends Day on Sunday too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, nice to see Kyle Pitts having himself a day there.
Sure.
Is it waiver wire time, Ty?
Yeah, it is. Just honorable mention too, defense and special teams. Usually we don't mention them, but Tampa Bay had 21 against the Bears because Fields had 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles, somewhere around that stat line. Come on now.
Tampa's defense is good, but yeah.
Tennessee's defense. Shout out to them. 17 points against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Never thought I'd mention the Tennessee defense. And
no. Oh my God. Especially against the Chiefs.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was extremely, extremely surprising. Yeah, moving on to our waiver wire pickups this week. So we have 3 for you, like we did last week. Number 1 is Khalil Herbert. Whoops, missed on that one again. We did tell you to pick him up, where we didn't tell you to start him. But as he moves on, I think he's going to be a player that you want to start. He's facing San Francisco in his next game, who have been struggling lately. He's had 7.5, 19.2, and 18.3. He has between 18 and 19 rushing attempts in his last 3 games, which is incredible. So he's someone who's been, increasing a lot, and a very reliable pickup. That's what you want in fantasy football. Loch, do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I mean, quick thing on Khalil Herbert as well. He appears to be the lead back in Chicago until David Montgomery returns. So definitely a worthwhile investment trying to pick him up if you can. Next tight end, we've already talked about him, CJ Uzuma. Very, very interesting last couple of weeks. 26, 3.6, 10.5, 24. I know, little peak and valley going on here, but between 3 and 6 targets a game over the past couple of weeks, And that offense seems to be finding their stride a little bit more. They're a little less reliant on Joe Mixon, which if you have Joe Mixon on your fantasy team, you obviously hate. But if you're a Bengals fan, is a good sign because Joe Mixon is a big playmaker in that offense. But the more they utilize other weapons like Uzomah and like Jamar Chase as well, and T Higgins and company, the more successful they'll be. And I think picking up CJ Uzomah will be a very worthwhile investment again, as a tight end if you're thin at that position, or play him at your flex any given week.
For sure. Last off, we have another tight end, Jared Cook of the Chargers, who said, again, kind of up and down, 19-3 and 12.5 in his last 3 games. He's a minimum of 3 targets a game. He's a red zone threat as well. And the reason we're bringing up 2 wide receivers is because, it's getting later into the fantasy season. So there's less and less players that you can actually take from the waiver wire. And we feel as the tight end position is so scarce in the NFL right now, particularly in PPR leagues and fantasy football, that you're going to get guys, or you're going to have to play guys that have like 3 or 4 targets a game potentially. But like Uzomah, he had 3 targets in his last game, and look what he did. He had 24 points because he turned it into like 90 yards and a touchdown. So you kind of have to, in some sense, get a little bit lucky with that, even though the target production isn't the highest, but the position is so scarce that you need to look at options like that for sure. And those are 2 of the best options in the game at tight end, as well as Khalil Herbert, who's one of the best running backs still available in a decent chunk of leagues.
So jump in there quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Just to add a little on that tight end point. I think it almost comes to a time of the year. Like personally, I know my team is just destroyed with injuries, and I've got Dawson Knox, injured as well, and I'm fortunate enough to have both Uzomah and Cook in the rotation. But it comes to a point where you're almost playing matchups with tight ends like you would a defense or another position, and it's just because like you said, Ty, it's so scarce in the NFL right now. If you don't have one of those top 5 wide or top 5 tight ends, the Kelseys, the Wallers, the Hawkinsons, it's all pretty much kind of week to week at this point. And I think Uzomah was a big hit last week, and moving forward, I think both those guys could definitely be repeating those performances.
Another factor there too is bye weeks, because we're getting into the thick of bye week season right now. Yeah. And I know these past 2 weeks for a bunch of the teams in our league have been pretty brutal and pretty ruthless with the bye weeks. I know like I had Zeke on bye a couple weeks back, and Deebo Samuel as well, 2 big losses. And I know I'm going to have Mahomes and Kelsey on bye in the coming weeks, which is going to hurt.
Mahomes has been playing like he's been on bye week for the last like 2 years.
Is it gonna hurt?
Heyo. But I mean, the name of the game in fantasy football is more often than not depth, and Christian is in a pretty good spot with both those tight ends, so good on you.
I agree.
Drop one of them though and pick up a wideout that's going to help me instead of having Kadarius Toney as my number 1.
That's something you have to look at. But moving on, we got this week's starts and sits for week 8 in NFL action. So Loch, how about you get us started with our 5 start options?
Yeah, starting off with Damian Harris. They're playing the Chargers this week, and in this past 3 games, he's had 9, 17, and 25 on the upswing against a weaker run defense in the Chargers, and
one of the weakest in the NFL to this point.
And
actually,
it's good that you admit that, Ty, because I haven't really heard you say a bad thing about the Chargers in quite some time.
I had to say that. Yeah.
Next up, the aforementioned Khalil Herbert. They are playing the Niners this week. And Khalil Herbert with 7, 19, and 18 in his past 3 games. Very steady numbers the past 2 weeks. And again, I said earlier, looking to be the lead back now in Chicago until David Montgomery returns. And San Fran is kind of struggling a little bit right now on both sides of the ball. So, should be a chance for the Bears to really rebound. The Bears and Justin Fields and company to really rebound after a tough week against the Bucs. And who better to gain success from that than Khalil Herbert. Christian Kirk. I know, Ty, you're very high on Christian Kirk. The Cardinals are playing the Packers this week. Christian Kirk in his past 3 games has put up 10, 18, and 15. And yeah, I mean, he's like a wide receiver too, basically. He cemented himself in that role in the Arizona offense. And Kyler Murray has just been fantastic this season.
I also like that matchup too, Loch, specifically against Green Bay, because they're going to be looking to take away D-Hop, obviously, and Zach Ertz now, who's emerged as a reliable player for that team only in 1 week. So that tells you a lot about Zach, and Zach is back essentially. But yeah, Kirk is kind of the guy who gets like those dirty targets, those kind of like garbage targets that turn into good yardage. And he puts up, like, in the games that he actually does put up good fantasy points, he usually gets a touchdown or 2, and he's proven that to us. And like, as you said, Loch, double digits in last 3 games. So that's very promising for a fantasy manager.
Ty, do you think in that Cardinals offense, do you think Christian Kirk is the clear number 2 right now, or do you think AJ Green has any way in there?
Well, I think not skill wise, certainly AJ Green is number 2, and I would even look at putting Rondale Moore over him. So technically, with skill wise, Kirk could be like the wide receiver number 4. But just in terms of targets during the game, he kind of acts like a Cole Beasley on the Buffalo Bills. He gets those dirty targets. He's still a very good, solid player, and so yeah, that'd be my opinion on that.
Quickly here, Javonte Williams versus the football team, 11, 9, and 17 in his past couple games. He gets between 4 and 11 attempts per game and 3 to 6 targets a game. And Washington is kind of struggling on the defensive end, which has been surprising because coming into the season, they were touted as one of the top defenses in the league, and they have not lived up to that at all over the season. So definitely start him. Kadarius Toney versus the Chiefs. Hags, keep him in your lineup, man. Kadarius is the money man this week for you.
I'm holding you to that. If I lose this week because Kadarius Toney puts together a 4-point performance, I'm coming after you, Loch.
We owe you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it. He's at 13, 24, and 6, and that 6 I know is not very promising.
Yep.
But Kansas City struggling, and their defense, it has not been good at all this year, especially that secondary. Not very good. So Kadarius Toney, look for him and Daniel Jones to hook up on a couple long passing plays, and Kadarius Toney to have a good week this week. Ty, take it away with the sits.
For sure. And just quickly before that, don't you just love to see with the Chiefs as well that Derrick Henry threw for more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes in that game? I just thought that was
because
so
Patrick
funny.
Mahomes is my starting QB.
I know he will, but not because of that. Just a Chargers fan, AFC West. I mean, Mahomes is finally getting the criticism he deserves. I love Colin Cowherd too. Great Fox Sports.
Does he deserve the criticism though? That's the thing.
Right now he does.
Has he deserved Has he deserved the criticism in the past? Like,
no, but right now.
I'm gonna say
right now it's warranted. Exactly.
Right now it may be warranted, but they're quick to jump on him.
Does ESPN post him maybe a little too much? Absolutely.
Oh my God. They just had to throw in, like, they always throw him in some post that's nothing to do with him, or just like something he tweets and throws it in there.
Yeah, it accounts like that. It really pisses me off when they do that sometimes, like Bleacher Report, or like the one that's the worst is BR Gridiron.
Yeah. They're kind of brutal. Yeah.
They're brutal for that kind of stuff because they just kind of sink to that level, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, then
ESPN Fantasy Cast does not do that.
No, we don't. We can criticize when criticism is deserved and warranted. But yeah, the thing with like Mahomes, they literally posted, it was like the 1-year anniversary of Daniel Jones's like fumble and stumble, and like on the next post beside it, they threw in like Patrick Mahomes being like, "Well, I can't say anything either because I've never run that fast," or something like that. It's like, Patrick, just please, like, we didn't really need to hear you or your brother's opinions on social media anymore.
Yeah, your frog voice, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So
nothing but love for Patty. In case he's listening.
He's my QB. Gotta love
him. Not really. Okay, moving on to the sits. Upcoming week, we have Marquez Callaway versus Tampa Bay, who put up a weak performance. versus not a great defense, to be honest with you, in the Seattle Seahawks. But that was just because of the game scheme, and it was kind of rainy as well. You have to take that into account. But I don't like Callaway this week. I think Tampa Bay is going to lock him up. I mean, look what they did to Darnell Mooney, who we said you should start. So I'm not going against Tampa Bay again like that. So we're going to put Callaway there. Myles Gaskin versus Buffalo. Myles Gaskin has been fairly hot recently. He's had 31, 3, and 17 in his last 3 games, which is kind of like spread out over the board, but
not
still
this
decent
week,
numbers.
though. Not this week.
Exactly, because Buffalo coming off a bye week, I think they're fresh, one of the hottest teams in the league. I think they're gonna stop Myles Gaskin, and make the Finns pass the ball more. So I don't think Gaskin will be nearly as efficient as he usually is. I'd say sit him. Jameis Winston versus Tampa Bay, same situation as Marcus Callaway. Winston's had 13, 25, and 16, so he hasn't been great over his last 3 weeks. Tampa Bay is going to lock him up. They're going to sack him. They're going to come for his head, and it's a kind of like an old revenge game because Jameis was he's still the Bucs all-time leading passer. Actually, fun fact. So there you go. Coming back to Tampa Bay, I don't think you start him. Cole Beasley versus Miami. This is one that like kind of pains me to say as well, and we actually told you to sit Cole Beasley another week, and we were totally wrong. I feel like I'm maybe leaning towards going to be correct this game, because he has this year so far, like he had a great week last week. Last game that he played, he had 21 points. He has not had back-to-back games with double-digit points, so I think you should take that into account. I think this is one of those games where Cole Beasley gets kind of lost in that really good Bills offense. I think you're going to see a lot of other receivers. I think Diggs is going to come back.
Sanders,
yeah,
I think is going to be a prominent
sure.
force in that offense as well.
Yeah, and this is a team too that they're going to be able to run the ball against in Miami. So you're going to see Zach Moss get his fair goal line touches, as well as Devin Singletary just in the regular field. So I have you sitting Cole Beasley this week. And then Courtland Sutton, this is actually probably my boldest take versus the football team. So Washington's defense is pretty good versus bad teams. And the Broncos, although they don't have the worst record, they are a bit of a faker because of the teams that they did play to come to that record. I feel like their pass rush is going to be so good that they're going to be looking to dump off the ball to someone like Javonte Williams, who we mentioned that you should start. So that's part of the reason we're saying you should start Javonte Williams, but you should sit Courtland Sutton because, Teddy is going to have a hard time getting that ball out to him. Feel like the pass rush is going to be much better, and they're going to rely more on the screen game instead of the mid to deep passing game. So those are our starts and sits for this week.
Another quick factor as well in Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy's got a legit shot at coming off the injured reserve list for the first time since earlier in the season. I believe week 1 or 2 he got injured. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So, yeah, I mean, with Jeudy coming back, they're going to want to get him involved right away because he is really the focal point of that offense. I mean, they drafted him that highly a couple years back for that reason. So yeah, Courtland Sutton though, that'll be interesting come Sunday.
For sure. That's a good couple takes there, Ty.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Gonna keep that in mind when setting my lineup this week.
Yeah, Loch and I always got some good stuff off our sleeve.
I recommend listeners do the same.
Let's hope so. And let's see, are we going 10 for 10? Probably not. I'd say we're going, hopefully we'll get around 7. 7 would be incredible. 7 or 8 would be really good. But yeah, those are predictions. So moving on to our fantasy player of the week. And this is back-to-back weeks, Loch, where we did not pick the highest scoring player in PPR leagues. We actually picked Jamar Chase, second highest, but let's kind of dust over that. He had 34 points. And the reason we picked him is because he did this versus the Baltimore Ravens, who locked up the Chargers. That's another thing. I'll say that.
Pretty respectable defense. Pretty respectable.
Sure. They were the hottest team in the AFC coming into that game.
It's true.
Not anymore. Right now, it's arguably the Bengals, which like, how the heck are we saying that, to be honest with you? The Bengals, like, where did they come from? But they're here, and Jamar Chase is doing extremely well. He had 201 yards, a receiving touchdown with only 8 receptions. So he had a phenomenal week against an amazing defense, whereas Cooper Kupp lit up the Lions like he was supposed to light up the Lions rather. So everyone kind of expected that, but no one expected that big of a game from Jamar Chase, and that's why he's our fantasy player of the week.
Bengals fans, you're welcome.
Yeah.
If we were going based off highest scoring, I think Cooper Kupp would have like 5 fantasy players of the week now.
Yeah,
he'd be damn close to it.
Nice to switch it up.
He's had a nice season. Now on to our fantasy question of the week, and I never thought I'd see this question come up at all this season. What should I do with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense? I mean, are we really asking that question right now? Like we really are.
I think we are.
I'd love to jump in there and make it quick.
Let's see it, Hags.
You start them. Like, I mean, in your specific case, Lachlan's got Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. And I think if you look down the line, I think Mahomes, Kelce, Tyreek Hill for sure. And then I'd mix Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there as well. And that's where I'd draw the line. I'd say you can't worry about those guys because the second you drafted them that high for a reason. And speaking from past experience, the second you're going to start sitting your starts, they're going to start going off. And I think you got to ride with the guys that have won you all those games. Lachlan, you're 5-2 for a reason.
Yes, precisely.
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes do their thing weekly. I think you just gotta have a little faith in the process. I don't think it's time to panic yet.
I agree with you as someone who is a heavy shareholder in the Chiefs offense with 2 big pillars there. The aforementioned Mahomes and Kelce are on my squad, and if you want to know how I do it, I actually run free classes on how to draft in fantasy football, so you can hit me up for those. Just
have to keep you in the first round.
Just kidding. But I know, Ty, you're probably going to have a little bit of input on this, so I want to hear your take on this situation.
For sure. So, I mean, it's different for someone who actually has these people as their keepers or in a dynasty league. So in a dynasty league, you're keeping all of the Chiefs off, or at least the high points of the Chiefs offense. In a PPR league, I'd recommend looking for sure at shipping Patrick Mahomes and maybe go as far as Travis Kelce, because you can probably get great value for them. And if you're not in a keeper league, I mean, you're trying to win this year, right? So go for it and try to win this year. And you also look at the Chiefs schedule. They have the Giants coming. I mean, like, come on now, they should crush the Giants, but they got Green Bay, they got Las Vegas, they got Dallas, 3 very good defenses. Then they have their bye and they face Denver, which is the only good part about their team is pretty much their defense. So you have to give that to them. Las Vegas again, the Chargers, who are, I believe by that point in the year, should tighten up on defense greatly. Pittsburgh has an outstanding defense. Cincinnati's not the worst on defense, and Denver again. So they do not have the easiest schedule by any means. So mainly Mahomes, I would look at potentially shipping just to see what you can get in terms of value out of that point. So maybe put him on your trade block. But yeah, obviously he's one of the most talented players in the NFL when he's on. You
never really know what people might offer you coming your way for Mahomes. I mean, like if you have the chance to get, like a Herbert or even like a Kyler Murray, or if someone wants to throw in those names, I'd consider.
You're looking at that possibility.
You look at that, absolutely, because those are some pretty top-notch quarterbacks, especially in PPR leagues. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, throwing a name like Patrick Mahomes out there would kind of shock a lot of people, because it's a big name to throw out on the block and say, give me an offer.
For sure. And you can always, like, that's the thing with Mahomes too. He's such a big name that you can always sell high for him, or sell higher than you anticipated to. It's like, people love him. I mean, you can't hear a much bigger name than Patrick Mahomes in the NFL in 2021. So that would be our collective taste. It's nice because this episode, we got a bit of a different array of takes. So like, we all think slightly differently on this. But yeah, hopefully one of our opinions can help you guys out greatly.
Sure. Loch, should I do something that's unprecedented on the fantasy cast? And should I give Lachlan a trade offer on the air?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This has never happened before.
I knew this was coming too.
This has never happened before.
Lachlan and I have been talking about a Deebo Samuel, Antonio Gibson. I'd say we throw in, on my end, including Gibson, You can have a 2. Just keep him. And I'll throw in Matt Stafford. And then you do Mahomes and Samuel.
Mahomes and Samuel. Oh, my. So, first off, right now, Mahomes is on my untouchables. I'm riding with him. I'm sorry. The only thing I'm hesitant about with Debo is just that he's been just crushing it this season.
Yeah, for sure.
I am very thin at the running back position. Mike Davis had a pretty brutal week last week.
Hey, man.
That's because I feel like this would be spicy if I gave you like a direct answer right now, but I know better not to, because rule number 1 of fantasy football is always overreact. But you know, you got to keep your composure sometimes.
Loch's a great guy because Haggith just essentially asked him out on a date.
I feel like I'm on the Bachelorette.
He turned him down
here.
so nicely. He turned him down so nicely.
Well, I'm not turning down the
why.
offer because I will say, like, I've been very interested in Antonio Gibson since, like, you know, week 3 or 4, whenever we first kind of discussed it. Like, I know you came to me originally, Hags, with Gibson,
sure.
and then because I had a game that night and you texted me pregame and I'm not looking at my phone. And then I text you after the game when we're done and you're like, oh yeah, sorry. I loaned him out for a week. I'm like,
oh. Loch was definitely on the bench thinking Gibson for Samuel. Gibson's playing the Jets this week.
I didn't see the text because I didn't see the text until after the game. So I was like, oh my God, whoa.
It's okay, Loch. I can take a little rejection. It's all right.
It's not a rejection as much as like,
see you later.
Well, no.
As much as like, give me a better damn offer.
No,
we're never
no.
talking again.
It's like I'm willing to work in the ballpark of like Robert Woods, right, like right this second. But I know I know that's what your reaction is going to be, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I won't.
And that was our first ever live trade offer on the Fantasy Cast. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime. We should get Robbie on here and just start peppering him with offers.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we got to have some new guests for you guys, and we're planning on bringing that stuff up. But as for today, that concludes episode 8 of Fantasy Cast.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and hopefully be back on sometime before the end of the year. And
you never know. Yeah, I might throw you in there.
We'll see how the ratings do. We'll see how they do.
The ratings were pretty hot the first time when you were on here, so you might just be the spark that we need here.
Oh, let's hope so. All right, thank you, boys.
Yeah. Hey, man, we're always happy to have you on. Great conversation as always with you guys. The Fantasy Cast is powered by Shocker Sports. If you want to see extra clips and whatnot and posts, you can go to the Fantasy Cast on Instagram. We are on Spotify and YouTube for your listening and watching pleasure. This has concluded episode number 8 of the Fantasy Cast. Thank you guys so much once again, and we will see you guys next week.